Hi, this is Accesses, a show where I take a look at some gunpla and see how authentic they are. This time, we are taking a look at the HGUC 12144 GM Sniper 2. The GM Sniper 2 is the more standardized version of the GM Sniper Custom, instead of the successor of the GM Sniper. In order to make a standardized model that still matches the function of the rather tailor-made GM Sniper Custom, the Federation uses the GM command as the basis with their improved cooling and power system architecture. They also design more modular parts for the custom work to improve the parts compatibility with the GM command. Even after the end of the war or in the Grips conflict, the GM Sniper 2 didn't really replace the GM Sniper Custom, but it also served the Federation up till the Laplace conflicts, and probably beyond, until the new wave of smaller mobile suits comes into play. I'll be rating these kits based on saga, style, action, gimmick, and absence. Style is how much does the gunpla resemble its anime, manga, games, or other media's counterparts. And the GM Sniper 2 really benefits from the years of development in the HGUC line. This is a 2018 release, by the way. The proportions are a lot closer to its anime and even line arts from Ichipachi, who designed the GM Sniper 2 based on Okawa's GM Sniper Custom. So you do have a bit of the Okawa's lengthened, or in this case, lower thigh compared to the body ratio, and a bigger head, which actually plays well in action, but we'll save it till then. So considering that the proportions are very good, and the color, you can see there are few minor color missing, but generally there are good color separation, and the panel lining does wonders to that. Talking about markings and colors, the collar is supposed to have a gray bit, and then the top lens supposed to have a secondary green element at the bottom that they do have stickers. Oh, also the headphones or the headset supposed to have a blue band in the middle. But yeah, these stickers are not the easiest to work with, and frankly, GM Sniper 2 looks good without them nonetheless. There are a lot of Federation stickers here. There are also some Riot stickers, but we'll talk about these Riot stickers later. Anyways, so stickers, we are having the Stardust Memory sticker decals, which works fine with the markings, but less with the lenses, and okay with the color correction. But I still don't like color correction in general, unless they are metallic or supposed to be shiny. Anyways, looking at the head, you can see a mono eye right in the middle, even with all these reflections. I did paint it with metallic green in the middle to help it distinguish from the rest of the scopes from within. The GM command also supposed to have this mono eye, but I don't think the HGUC model have that. We'll come around when we get to that kit. But yeah, we do have color separation for the mouth vents. That is an improvement from the cold district type. and we still have color separation for the shoulder vents. GM Sniper 2 have substantially smaller chest vents, supposedly to reduce the heat signature that the suit gives out, but there are shoulder vents too. I guess the shoulder vents supposed to be index in this case. Anyways, color separation for the cockpit, color separation for the skirts and the middle section of the armor skirts, and then we have scopes for the side skirt storage. Leg construction not too different until we get to the lower leg. The shin is its own one piece, and then the calves are two halves, but then the calf thrusters are its own piece, so you got like a four-way tackle with very minimal amount of calves showing. So depending on how you like the calves come together, it's a very easy seamless mod compared to other Federation mobile suits. Despite being released in 2018 after the Gundam revival, this leg construction is more like the GM custom that we had looked at, which is way before. But it is a good way to do it, so no problems. The ankle armor, if you can see, there is a tiny seam on the side. It is not the one piece or the side cap plus the middle part like GM custom, but more like the GM Type C before that. But I'm not sure if the mold is being better built because it is a later entry, or I just have a better set. It just looks a lot better than the GM custom. Foot up, top half, lower half, and then bottom of the feet sculpt just as detailed as always. Back skirt is where GM Sniper 2 hosted its beam sabers, much like the GM Intercept custom. And Sniper custom, depending on which specification, but yeah, that tracks. And then the backpack is not very Federation like, but the reason for this is supposedly they want to build a, having larger thrusters for the GM Sniper 2 custom so that it can get more acceleration, similar to the GM's Interceptor custom. But then that project didn't went through for some reason, and so we have left with this extra powerful thruster for the GM Sniper 2, and it is well liked by Federation pilots. The downside of these thrusters is supposedly it does not hold as much fuel, or it burns fuel much faster because it is a larger thruster after all. Surprisingly, this is a three-piece construction. You got one piece for a thruster with all the details, one piece for most of the casing, and then one piece for the back, where with a bit more details that you don't always see, but when you see them, it's nice looking. Back of GM's head, pretty well done. The head is a clamshell, but since a lot of the features surrounding it cover up the similar except for the top, so it's well hidden. GM Sniper 2 does not have a back-facing camera, or its optics are facing forward for the sniping action. Shoulder is pretty simple. The elbow guard, etc. is pretty much one-to-one to the GM command, except these are slightly better separated. That you don't really see the difference between the parts line and the scope lines. No part separation for the side apogee motors, but that is fine. And while this should be gimmick, you can move the guard basically for the sniping action mode and reveal the rest of the top camera. Presumably this front lens would be used with the top camera in normal mode and with the main camera in sniper mode. Let us go back to here. There is a bit of light piping for that top lens because you can see there is a bit of exposure on it. So when you angle it right, you can get light piping for this sniping mask, sniping goggle, sniping visor lens, which is very nice. So despite using older technology to realize the GM Sniper 2, it has a better proportion. The part separations are good, not completely great, but pretty good. Construction is solid. I think most people would agree this joint system, the pre-RX-78 revival joint system, is the best construction-wise. So style-wise, aside from a few missing color or not so great, well, they're present and they're pretty good stickers, but you know, a bit of my personal preference, not so great color correction stickers. GM Sniper 2 is great in style, ECA. Next is action. Action isn't just the number of the articulations, but also how useful they are. The neck joint is the forever HGUC neck joint, and it doesn't look as far up as some modern kits, but you know, it is expressive enough. The torso only have one ball joint, and like while there are crunches, it is not a whole lot. It does swivel very well though. The arms, pretty modern, like two-axle joint, and even though it is just a single elbow, it does pull up a bit more than 90, which is appropriate for a 1-year war mobile suit. Hand is on a ball joint as usual. Side skirt on a swivel on a peg, not special here. Back skirt is solid. Front skirt is the usual double ball for HG, so no problems here. And then the thigh joint, it does have its own swivel on top of the torso swivel, so you get a bit more play here. And then it is a double joint, much like the shoulders, so it is really just limited by the side skirts for how far I can go to the side, and it can come to the front pretty much 90 degrees. And then we got thigh swivel, and then we got double knee. Let's do it here. And then we got double knee, which is limited by the armor itself, so it's not too far from this top half, but perfectly fine for a kneeling pose. The ankle got a swivel at the bottom of the shin, and then a ball joint for the ankle itself, and then the foot got a bit of toe articulation, so it can extend like this, or probably just use the ball and the swivel. Get a fairly flat And so for a sniper, the most important pose is the kneeling pose. It is not quite the modern day standard of, yeah, it's not quite a modern golden standard of a straight kneel, but it is a pretty good Y kneel for sniping, which you know, depending on which country sniper you are leaning towards, it's a lot more accurate. So no problem doing a tactical pose. Let's make it stable. Probably should rest the gun, but eh. Anyways, let's do some gun fu, shall we? Since we are here. There we go. Just really need to find the balance. The center of gravity for the GM Sniper 2. Gun fu is no problem. And yeah, I show off a little bit. The right hand has a special extended version for the sniper rifle. The sniper rifle have the stock very low to accommodate for the very robotic arm of GM Sniper 2. As the result, it can hold it across its chest fairly natural looking. We will take a look at the hand options later, but yeah, even just doing this is a very natural looking, at least for robots, this is very human looking for holding on a sniper rifle. For action, it is not quite as flexible as you would expect from a modern HG kit or even kits of its era because like I said, this is released after the RX-78 revival, and that thing is very agile. This is a lot less than that. Still, the rest of the action is pretty good. It is appropriate for its time in the lore. So I'm going to keep it an A because I do think this is good enough or slightly more than you need for a 1-year war mobile suit. Next is Gimmick. Gimmick are the onboard weapons, optional weapons, and other things that's included in the kit for the functionality of the mobile suit. We had a brief look at the sniper rifle. Bringing it in closer, it is not a very long sniper rifle. It is more like the scout rifle if people plays Counter-Strike with the rather small scope. We got no stickers for the scope lens, but I think it is fine for a grey rifle. The furniture is supposed to be green, but for a scout rifle I feel like grey is more appropriate anyways. I'm not beat up about that. The muzzle, it is a separate piece. It is deep enough, you don't really need to paint it, so it looks good. It is a simple clamshell, mostly on the furniture. Like surprisingly, the barrels are in one piece. The stock is also a clamshell, but you rarely see the inside of the grip, so it is pretty okay. We also have a shield for the GM Sniper 2. It is in the style of GM Command, just like most of the mobile suits. It is not using the standard 3mm, but a proprietary slot, which kinda standard for the era, but you know, they do have variations, so it's not too bad. The pegs on the shield strap is 3mm again, so it's fine. And we no longer have separable magazine for the 90mm machine gun, but that is fine. The rest of the details are here. We do get a bit of holo on the shield, but probably should have those on a real shield as well. And yeah, the opening still opens up for the side RPG motors. More interestingly, the opening on the shield is perfectly aligned with the sniper visor. So that's cool. We do get a 90mm machine gun, much like the GM Command. Pretty much the same thing. No removable magazine, but it does have its own trigger finger grip hand, because there is a dedicated one for the sniper rifle. You can put this machine gun on the regular hammer grip hand, but you do need to modify either the grip of the gun or the hand, the hammer grip hand, because the hammer grip hand, if we stop looking at the hand for a second, is designed to hold the beam sabers. The hammer grip hand is designed to hold the beam saber relatively rigid. It is a good thing that, you know, it is hard to shake off, but it does limit the amount of sword play you can have with GM Sniper 2, although the ball joint hand can help out most of it. And yeah, this guard is a separate piece that is very well sculpted. And you do get 2 beam saber blade for 2 beam sabers. They are standard beam saber pegs. I do have one bent beam saber blade, but you know, beam saber are supposed to be energy blades, well, mostly energy blades, so it is not supposed to be super straight anyways. It is okay. I would even say it looks pretty good on an angle too. But yeah, this does happen once in a while. You can try to fix it with a hairdryer, but I usually, you know, bend them even further for the slashing actions. We do get a open palm left hand to support the sniper rifle if you want a more dedicated sniper rifle holding pose. And if you want to dual wield the 2 beam sabers, you do have a second hammer grip for the hand. Now for the Raya part. Raya is the self-organized defense, half military, half police force of Size 6. And they mainly use the Draken E here. It is a mobile worker that uses fuel cell to run. You do have the option of building a construction worker, mobile worker, or the Raya police military with the more dedicated manipulators to hold weapons. I opt to build a hybrid with both police floodlights and work lights on it, and with just panel lining, it is pretty much what they look like, at least from a distance, because these mobile workers are tiny compared to mobile suits. Yeah, they are in their 144 scale here, and as you can see, it is basically a cockpit with a bit of manipulators and a pair of short legs to run around in. And yeah, surprisingly, they would have the Raya signed on the chest to donate them. It is really well sculpted, just because of its size. It is not fully parts and color separated. And because it is supposed to be, there is a bit of hollow, it is supposed to be mostly orange, at least for the self-defense force, so you don't really need to do a lot of painting to get it look accurate. This is definitely a big plus on Gimmick. So yeah, with full set of weapons, with a customizable Dragon E mobile worker, and a wide variety of hands to choose from, you have to give GM Sniper 2 a S for Gimmick. Last and not least for GM Sniper 2 is absence, which is practically none. I mean, you can do a lot of nitpicks on his styles, on his actions, and on his gimmicks, but all in all, this is a very complete package for you to have a raw in pocket accurate GM Sniper 2 and a bit more if you want to. It is definitely one of the most liked outdated mold. Even today, I would say. This one is a blue label. I brought this one not too long ago. I think I have an older one, but I'm not sure where it is. But I'm okay buying more of them because I will be doing some customization. Well, kit bashing more like. I will do some kit bashing with it, pretty much like the V2 weapon video. That should be available when this one comes out. So yeah, there are a lot to be nitpicked, but all in all, benefit or the values outweigh all those nitpicks. So it is once again an easy S for absence. So the verdict for HGUC 1-144 RGM-79SP GM Sniper is A for style, A for action, S for gimmick, and S for absence. Overall, if you want a GM that is slightly more kitted up than the base model, but not quite as I don't want to say hustle, but less intimidating than the Interceptor Custom or Guard Custom, GM Sniper 2 is the perfect, not just middle ground, probably the perfect starter if you're not looking for a super easy to build army mass type base model GM, nor the really detailed, maybe a bit too much for a grunt suit, the origin of Interceptor Custom, and certainly a very good sniper. Thanks for watching. See you next time.